Thanks for choosing us. Tonight, the American Embassy here in Accra is bracing itself for a 2-week marathon protest backed by think tank Imani Ghana to put pressure on the U.S. government to secure the immediate extradition of Ken Ofori-Atta as he appears before U.S. immigration judge for the first time tomorrow morning. The former finance minister was arrested and kept in detention by the U.S. Immigration, Customs and Enforcement officers following the revocation of his visa. Tonight, pressure group Arise Ghana is taking this demand to the next level as they hit the street from tomorrow, picketing the U.S. Embassy over the matter. One of the conveners, Selom Dramani Dramado, spoke to Carlos Coloni on the pulse on why it has become necessary to hit the streets.
Ken Ofori-Atta had taken decisions that had adverse or deleterious effects on Ghanaians. You know, some people died when he unilaterally, arbitrarily decided to give Ghanaians haircuts.
You have fact to that?
Yes. Some people. And
you are linking the death of those people to the haircuts?
Your own station interviewed individuals who were going through frustration as a result of the implementation of...
But you cannot blame that on Ken Ofori-Atta.
We can blame it on him because he unilaterally, arbitrarily took that decision which had affected Ghanaians, which had taken some people to trauma. And we said we shouldn't link it to him. He's actually responsible for the ailments those people are going through today, the frustration those people are going through today, and those who have died. That is why he must come to Ghana to face accountability. Because if we fail to hold our leaders accountable, what will happen is that criminal gangs will form political parties because they know that when they come and they deplete our coffers, no consequences.
Well, Mr. Dramado added the group will escalate the protest if their calls are not heeded.
At this stage, we don't intend to present any petition. We're just going to be doing a peaceful picket there.
From what time to what time?
For 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yes, we'll be there for 2 weeks because the initial plan was actually to be there sine die. You understand? Okay. Until Ken Ofori-Atta said his foot, they will not leave.
Okay.
But the police had some challenge. They had some difficulties, and we had to, compromise on that.
So you'll be doing this for 2 weeks? 2
weeks. If it doesn't,
from what time to what time every day?
So from 8 a.m. to the evening, say 5 or 6, and we leave, and we go back.
Okay.
As and when it becomes necessary for us to pass the night there, we'll do.
The National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NAIMOS, has declared a new hardline phase in the fight against illegal mining, announcing the permanent deployment of operatives in some of the country's most notorious illegal mining enclaves. The operatives will be stationed along heavy degraded river bodies and high-risk communities, effectively placing Galamsey hotspots under constant surveillance to prevent illegal miners from regrouping after security raids. Erastus Asaredonko has more in this report.
This weekend saw NAIMOS concentrate raids on illegal mining camps along the Ankobra, Brim, and illegal mining camps along the Kumasi-Sunyani Highway. Over 130 shamfan and water pumping equipment were destroyed and removed from these sites, while seizing 2 excavators in the western, eastern, and Ashanti regions. The raids concentrated in Abelebo in the Nzema East District, and Nyinase in the Takwan Swayim District, Wasakrupong, Apoli, Beposo, Domiabra in the Akim Oda Swedro District, Wasakrupong and Bruni Krum and Mankranso in the Ashanti and Hafo regions. As part of a broader strategy to permanently stop illegal mining, the NAIMOS Secretariat says it plans to deploy permanent NAIMOS field operatives in identified hotspots, particularly along critical rivers and high-risk communities. This, it says, will be complemented by sustained day and night operations, strengthened intelligence gathering, closer collaboration with the Blue Water Guards and local stakeholders, and rapid response interventions to prevent re-entry by illegal miners. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
Well, let's go on the phone and engage Parkwisi Shandov, who is the Media Relations Officer for the Lands Ministry. as well as NAIMOS. Grateful for your time here. Last year, the government told us they were going to set up bases at this illegal mining areas. Is it the same as what we are seeing, or this is different?
Absolutely. What we are seeing currently is in connection with that policy proposition that was earlier announced. So what we intend to do, what government intends to do actually, is to set up a 24-hour 7 uninterrupted surveillance across all the relevant flashpoints where illegal mining is very prominent, and that is currently at the verge of implementation because, like I indicated earlier on this same platform a few days ago, the map out plan and the design for that strategy has been concluded. We are hopeful that now, to the end of the first quarter, it will come into full implementation. And so it's basically what indicated and announced last year, which is the permanent deployment of security personnel across all the relevant flashpoints. And
what are the timelines for this particular move? Which specific areas are the personnel actually going to be stationed?
So if you do a thorough diagnosis of the menace of illegal mining, you realize that it is particularly predominant in 6 out of the 16 administrative regions. Vis-a-vis, you are looking at the central region, the western north regions, the Ashanti, eastern, and then certain parts of the upper enclaves of the country. These are the areas where illegal mining is very prominent and visible. And so the deployment will cut across these specific geographical locations. By way of timeline for implementation, like I indicated just a while ago, we are hopeful that by the end of the first quarter of this year, 2026, the deployment would have been done in full scope. Because, as I said, well over 400 military men have already been trained. They've been given the necessary orientation on what they are supposed to do when deployed. So the deployment strategy is already intact. But of course, if you are going on a full-scale deployment of this nature, you need certain levels of financial incentives and motivation. That too, graciously, the Finance Ministry has given the approval with the authorization of the Sector Minister, Honorable Emmanuel Makopibua. So from now to the end of the first quarter, we should see this deployment in full, uninterrupted swing.
Talking about the Finance Minister, how much is this going to cost the taxpayer?
So off the top of my head, I do not want to hazard a guess, but you would recall that in the budget that was the budget for this year that was read last year, a total of about some 160 million Ghana cedis was allocated for NAIMOS' operations. So it is out of that sum that this deployment will be catered for. But in due course, we'll be able to know how much of the 150 million Ghana cedis will go into this particular venture. But basically, the allocation that was given to NAIMOS is what would be used to, of course, facilitate and sponsor this deployment and indeed the rest of the other operations of NAIMOS throughout the year.
Thank you so much. Pakwesi Shandorf is the Media Relations Officer for the Lands Ministry.
Ashanti region, because half of the region may be cut off from the national grid if illegal mining activities at the Bui Dam continues. Well, that's according to government. Illegal mining activities along the dam continue to silt the reservoirs, threatening its lifespan. In a documentary, JoyNews' Nana Aljima exposes how the sustainability of the nation's energy security is being choked by environmental destruction. There's more in this following report.
Even before the boat will dock, the noise from the Shamfan engines is heard about 300 meters from the mining area. Upon sighting the boat, which looked different from those plying the route, some of the illegal miners halted operations and most of them took to their heels. Others threw caution to the wind, perpetrating the illegality with impunity. They mine along the banks of the reservoir of the Bui Dam. The area being mined, according to sources, is an extension of the dam in the rainy season. Here, the mining operations mainly involve the digging of small pits about 4 to 5 feet deep and the same size wide. Simple tools like hoes and pickaxes are the main tools deployed for the activity. From the soil dug, they wash for the precious metal. With some fan machines, they pump water from the dam to wash the sand for the gold deposit. This wastewater is diverted back into the dam, leading to the siltation and pollution of the dam. Acting Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Bui Power Authority, Samuel Nimakumbuatin, says the menace is causing siltation of the dam's reservoirs.
When the Galamsey activities is done, especially upstream, what happens is that it causes siltation of the river. That decreases the effective volume of the reservoir. So if, let's say, we are expecting the reservoir to contain about 100 meter cube of water, because of this Galamsey activity, it will rather reduce it to about 80. And then when it reduces to 80, it means that you have limited amount of water to generate power, and that will affect the power generation.
But the miners insist their activities in the river and its banks cannot harm the dam. One of their leaders, Etu, claims they mine sustainably.
And cross careful wimpo nankasa ako animu nti uka say when here dey we betimi akozo sa problem na bi dey we dey intimi.
The generation of hydroelectric power depends on rainfall patterns to sustain the water levels in the dam. With illegal mining silting the dams and the erratic rainfall due to climate change, many are pointing to a national emergency in dealing with the situation.
Fui Kwajovia called for security operations to raid and flush out all illegal miners operating upstream of the Bui generating station. Well, according to the authority, the continuous illegal mining activities are not only threaten the structural integrity of the power plant, but also pose serious risk to the lives of communities living around the Black Volta, while severely affecting the ecology of the area.
The issue of Galamsey around the Bui generating station is a critical one, as it tends to affect the production of power at the Bui site. Currently, you notice that the activity of Galamsey upstream the dam are causing some form of siltation and sedimentation at the reservoir. So that must be checked now. In the past, we've had some collaborations with the Ghana Army, the Navy and co. Now NAIMOS is the anti-Galamsey secretariat, is the new task force, and we are collaborating with them, as well as with the Ghana Army and Navy as well again. But we need to take an urgent action to raid all illegal miners upstream the Bui generating station. Beyond the effect of the Galamseyers on the dam, it goes to affect also the livelihood around the place, the ecology of the area as well. Urgent action must be taken now to eradicate illegal mining around the Bui Dam, to safeguard the integrity of the plant, and then two, to protect lives and livelihood of people who depend on the Black Volta. You would notice that there are two major hydro dams in this country, the Akosombo Dam, and the second one is the Bui Dam. Now, the Bui Dam is a strategic national asset that has been built to actually improve power generation in this country. Power currently is stable in the country. There's a high demand for power. So if Bui should shut down because of issues of Galamsey, due to sedimentation, due to cavitation of the plants and all that, then it means parts of this country will go off into darkness. So an urgent action must be taken now to safeguard that plant from shutting down.
Away from that, the Ghana Immigration Service is pushing for reforms to strengthen border security and migration management as global migration pressure and transactional crime intensifies. At a pivotal meeting with the Minister for Interior, the Governing Council of the service outlined key challenges affecting efficiency, while government assured of concrete steps to secure Ghana's borders. Details in the following report.
The meeting brought together key stakeholders to address pressing issues affecting border security and migration management, with discussions centered on institutional reforms, resource mobilization, and interagency collaboration. Speaking during the meeting, Chairman of the Ghana Immigration Service Governing Council, Reverend Dr. Stephen Wingham, outlined critical gaps that continue to undermine the service's effectiveness.
The Ghana Immigration Service, mandated by law, is to issue visas and permits, has yet to fully assume this role at Ghana's diplomatic missions. Ministry of Foreign Affairs and RISEC department staff continue to operate this service on behalf of GIS. Clearance was granted in 2022 for Immigration Service to be posted to 4 missions: London, Washington, D.C., New York, and Berlin, and preparatory visits were conducted in 2023, though deployment has stalled. Activating this process will ensure GIS fulfills its statutory mandate, bringing professional expertise in document verification, immigration law, risk assessment, and visa processing to strengthen visa management and consular services abroad. Honorable Minister, we are here to re-echo these challenges and announce our commitment to collaborate with your ministry to resolve these challenges. Establishment structure. As you are aware, the current establishment structure presents gaps that hinder efficiency and effective deployment of personnel. In particular, weakness in command and control create overlaps, dilute integrity, and slow decision-making. A review and strengthening of this framework will ensure clear lines of authority, equitable distribution of staff, and improved service delivery.
The Interior Minister Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak acknowledged the challenges, particularly the vulnerabilities along Ghana's borders, describing the skill of illegal entry points as a major national security concern.
We believe, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama believes that the time has come for us to have our own system of monitoring who is coming in and who is going out. And this is one of the focus that, by the grace of God, will be tailoring and making sure that it comes to fruition in this year 2026, so that we'll have something that is Ghanaian owned. We own it, and that is able to even help us not only at the legitimate crossing point, but even the illegitimate crossing points, so that we'll be able to monitor all that is going on. Like you rightly mentioned, yes, the API and the PNR has already kicked in, and I think from 1st February, that is going to be fully operational. Currently, it's even in operation, but it will be fully operational by the 1st of February. That helps us to know who is boarding which plane, heading towards our country. And His Excellency, the President, even instructed us to ensure that this is stored even at our land bodies. And the Controller General will tell you, we are having a meeting tomorrow with Transport, Civil Aviation, to be able to streamline how do we get all these things done.
The minister revealed the government is already rolling out technology-driven interventions to tighten border surveillance.
2024, they almost agreed to start in 5 missions. That is the London office, the Brussels, the United States mission, South Africa, and I think The Hague. We are going to pursue them. It is about space, because the diplomatic missions should have enough space. And we're also looking at the best use of the state resources, so that we do not just send too many officers to be doing one thing that maybe 3 officers doing the work of one person can't.
The various private transport operators in Accra, including the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, have agreed to deploy a joint task force to address the recent transport challenges in the capital. The unions partly attribute the challenges to indiscipline among some members, including the charging of unapproved fares and the practice of collecting fares multiple times for the same distance. After meeting with the Minister for Transport, Joseph Bukari-Nikpe, at the ministry today, the unions say they are prepared to personally tackle the issue with support from the ministry. This comes as many commuters in Accra continue to face transport challenges, particularly during the morning and evening rush hours. Fatal Bayaga has more in the following report.
Efforts are still being intensified to address the growing transport challenges within the city. The Minister of Transport, Joseph Bukari Nipe, has summoned a meeting with some of the private transport operators, including GPR2, among others, to tackle this particular challenge. During the meeting held at the Transport Ministry, some of the private transport operators stated that after this crunch meeting, they concluded to undertake certain measures to address this particular issue.
You are not supposed to take 5 cedis from somebody. Instead of 5 cedis, you are taking 10 cedis.
So when will we see those individuals?
We are immediately going to call our people tomorrow. So we started informing them on tomorrow's emergency meeting.
I'm in a task force to monitor the problem that is existing now.
We think that the task force will do. And we want them to do it in all of us. We are not going to sing out with a particular like Jeep, Tiger or Protua or Concern. No, all of us, we want them to be one particular task force so that he would be taking care of all of us.
For the Minister of Transport, Joseph Bukari Nipe, this meeting is very important to addressing this particular challenge.
The good is that the unions themselves are prepared to lead in the discipline of their colleagues to ensure that there are no more any floating drivers or vehicles on our roads, to make sure that they bring all of them to the terminals to load our people, and if there is need to create any system somewhere that buses will move in to help move people from one point to another, the unions are prepared to do.
He also says that the government intends to procure some buses which would help and significantly addressing this particular challenge.
By close of first quarter, we should begin seeing some vehicles coming in.
The minister also noted that investigations have commenced into the 313 buses which were sold in 2020 for 2,500 cedis each.
As for the auctions, this was what we had, but the boards are going through to see whether or not they were of correct merit for that amount. I've instructed all the management and boards to have a second look at it.
According to the Transport Ministry, if all of these measures are implemented properly, it will help to address the growing transport challenge in Accra and across other parts of the country. For JoyNews, Fatao Bayaga, Accra.
Joining us now is the spokesperson for the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Abbas Imoro. Grateful for your time here. How do you intend to implement this particular joint task force initiative? Abbas, if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you, Carlos. Yes, at the meeting we finally agreed that there is a route registration which we are not adhering to. If it is properly being worked out, those operating and picking people short will be a thing of the past. So we immediately agreed that yes, let's bring the stickers which shows that this vehicle is working for GPRTU, this vehicle is working for cooperative, etc., so that some of the drivers who are not supposed to operate, because we have a law in the LI 2180, the 2012 road traffic regulation. If you look at regulation 121, it shows some drivers who are not supposed to be on the road for the reason of some of these short and overcharging system. You must be identified. If you are a member of the GTEC, yes, you must be identified with such. You have a sticker, you operate on your registered routes so that you might not fall foul to the law, knowing very well you belong to a transport union, you know what to do and what not to do. So we agreed to bring that one back, make sure those Wawa drivers who does not belong to any union at all do so that they stop from those bad things that they are doing. Charging exorbitantly will also be a thing of the past. We are going to form task force made up of our GTEC union guards. The assemblies have to bring their task force. The transport minister, Honorable Nipe and Co., they also have to make sure they add police to the task force team so that we deploy them on the roads that we feel there are a lot of problems on those roads. So these are some of the things we thought immediately we have to work against. So GPS immediately we end up the meeting, we started calling up for an emergency meeting for tomorrow so that we immediately start working towards.
Well, you also want to introduce stickers to identify drivers and address indiscipline. When do you intend to roll out that particular initiative also?
We have called for emergency welfare meeting. The welfare, when I use welfare, it means different on our sector. We have, like demonstration, all the drivers working over there, they have executives in charge of them. We call them welfare executives. If you go to Carnation, we have. You go to Agogoshe, we have. All the stations we have. So we have invited them. That is what we do. When we want to send message to any of our people, we use the welfare, then within a twinkle of an eye, the message spreads all over. So we have somewhat emergency welfare meeting tomorrow. So we are starting towards how to solve those problems from tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much, Amos Imoro.
Away from that, you're still watching JoyNews Prime. We'll be back after this quick turn. Please stay with us.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us here on JoyNews Prime.
So other stories now. The University Teachers Association of Ghana of the University of Ghana, UTAG UG, has given the Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, Professor Ahmed Jinapor, a January 31 ultimatum to resign. This is contained in a press statement issued some minutes ago, and that is coming up on your screens right now.
And there you have it. And instead of executing its core mandate, the Commission has been reduced to tangential and sometimes frivolous actions such as chasing people with quote-unquote fake degrees while neglecting the fundamental issues affecting tertiary education in Ghana. Thus, the quality of education being provided by public tertiary educational institutions in Ghana is at an all-time low due to insufficient budgetary support, and yet GTEC appears indifferent to these systemic problems that pose existential threat to tertiary education in Ghana.
GTEC appears to have lost its way, the statement goes on to say, and is now being used to settle scores instead of promoting good governance in public tertiary education institutions. It engages in actions that undermine it. For instance, under what legal mandate did GTEC remove the former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, Professor Johnson Nyako Wampong? If GTEC claims regulatory authority, which specific provision in Act 1023 empowers such an intervention?
Well, the statement goes on to say these recurring mishaps are not accidental. They represent a pattern of incompetent administration that undermines academic, institutional autonomy essential to drive the national development agenda and the vision and principles UTAG defended when opposing the new infamous Public Universities Bill. If these actions go unchecked, the consequences for Ghana's tertiary education system will be dire.
The statement goes on to give the different things they expect from GTEC leadership. 1. UTAG UG calls on the DG, Professor Ahmed Jinapor Abdullahi, Professor Augustine Oklu, to resign honorably on 31st of January 2026. They go on to state that failure to do so will result in a petition to the Chief of Staff for their removal and industrial action if necessary. The second point they make is the immediate enactment of a legislative instrument that will guide the implementation of Act 1023 to forestall future abuse of power by leadership of GTEC.
Well, away from that, temporary occupants, including car dealers, mechanic shops, taxi operators and traders along the Santasi Ahojo Road have less than 24 hours to vacate the stretch. The Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly served a final notice a week ago for the affected occupants to leave the road to pave way for the road dualization project to improve vehicular traffic within Kumasi. This comes after months of notices to the traders who sought support for a relocation. While speaking to JoyNews, Kumasi City Planner Benjamin Ejenim Boaten said the Assembly is ready to carry out a smooth and peaceful evacuation beginning Tuesday, January 20, 2026.
For the car dealers, we've had engagements with them. I mean, when Mayor came, we've had engagements not more than 3 with them, you know, series of engagements. They've come to my offices severally. They call, they know the challenge, you know, because Kumasi is a built-up area. You can't find big space, any free space for them to occupy. So we're trying to get pockets so that they can all go. And we've been able to identify some pockets for some of them. And they will go. I mean, you see, with the car sellers, it's not difficult. Moving vehicles is not a big challenge. So nothing will be demolished. Let me use that word. The only thing that stands in the way of demolition will be that temporary structure, the temporary structures along the road. If you're running anything of an economic venture, you would have to find space yourself. You know, but over the years, attempts have not been made by them to find space. It is not our work to find space for them. It is not our responsibility. We are doing it to show empathy with them.
Away from that, Priority View Homes has commissioned a sample of its affordable housing project for cocoa farmers at Goma in the Goma Central District of the Central Region. The initiative is expected to benefit more than 3,000 cocoa farmers with 2- and 3-bedroom housing units aimed at addressing accommodation challenges in cocoa growing communities. The following report has more.
Priority View Homes says over 3,000 cocoa farmers are expected to benefit from 2- 3-bedroom house affordable housing unit to reduce accommodation problem on the side of cocoa farmers. The local farmers say the project does not only serve as an inspiration, but also a source of hope that they can live to retire to live in more comfortable homes. Speaking to JoyNews, the Chief Executive Officer of Priority View Homes, Eric Afaidu, revealed that moderate farmers who harvest as low as 10 bags of cocoa annually qualify to benefit from the project and would have between 10 to 15 years to pay for a house.
Behind me is a 3-bedroom house designed for cocoa farmers. We called it Decent Housing Project for Cocoa Farmers. This is where we build either 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom for a cocoa farmer who is hardworking. So the rationale is to encourage cocoa farmers to do more, to encourage them, to motivate them and to inspire them, for them to realize that if they work hard and increase cocoa production, they stand a high chance of getting a decent home to live in. That is if the cocoa farmer doesn't have one. So that is basically what we cut the sword about 4 months ago, and we have completed one for farmers themselves to come and experience what it is. And that is what we inaugurated this morning at Bui Dam, Goma Central. To qualify for this housing scheme, you need to be a cocoa farmer with a cocoa farm harvesting, and you need to harvest not less than 10 bags of cocoa in a year to qualify. For as long as you do that, you'll be able to qualify. You give us the land and we build it for you, and then we spread it over a period, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, depending upon the farmer's circumstances, and that is all it is.
Eric Afaidu also said, giving cocoa farmers with fertilizers, we decide, is good, but what can be encouraged is cocoa farmers to build a decent house. He said if government is able to build houses for cocoa farmers, it would inspire others to go into cocoa farming and it will increase productivity.
Farmers that we have come into contact with all the time that the government is doing enough. I realize that to encourage a cocoa farmer to produce more is not just about giving him or her fertilizer or chemical or increasing the price of that. Those are very crucial. But we also believe that if we should give the cocoa farmer a decent home to live in it, there's no inspiration more than that. And that means they will sleep peacefully, comfortably, wake up the next day inspired and gingered up to do more. And there's a possibility that in some years to come, Ghana will come back to the front stage to be the #1 cocoa producing country in the world. Basically have a whole lot of cocoa farmers who qualify from different communities, from the Asen area, from the Gomwa area, go to the eastern region, Ashanti, Western, it's all over the place. And we have not less than 3,500 cocoa farmers who we know they qualify. So it's something that is going to be unending. We'll keep doing that. The company has determined to do that. So Priority View Homes, we basically based in Accra, and we do luxury housing or luxury properties in Accra. And we decided to take low cost. We don't call it affordable, we call it low cost housing to the cocoa farmer, to make the cocoa farmer a happy person.
The chief of Gomwa Dahom, Nana Kwapra Ababio, the 7th, believes that the intervention will inspire young people to venture into cocoa farming, pledging an unflinching support for the project.
Let's now take you to the northern region, where a police team has made 2 arrests seizing suspected Indian hemp and a locally made pistol. Abdul Latif Mohammed was arrested in Yendi with 10 wraps of suspected Indian hemp, while Abdullahi Bawa was intercepted in Mion with 16 containers of suspected Indian hemp, a pistol and tramadol. The arrests are part of an intensified security initiative by the IGP Special Operations Team targeting armed robberies, drug supply and drug peddling in the northern part of the country.
IGP Special Operations Team has made significant strides in reducing crime in the northern region since the team's arrival 2 months ago. They have targeted drug use, drug supply and peddling, a major issue in the northern region. In this operation, 2 people were arrested, Abdullahi Bawa and Abdul Latif Mohammed. The 2 were interrogated before moving to the Sakasaka police station.
I came for my friend. Huh? I came for my friend.
You came for your friend?
Yes.
So you came to pick him home or what?
No, I came to visit him.
Here?
Yes.
What do they do here?
Actually, I didn't know. I came and I saw them sitting, so I would also see them here.
How long have you been with them before our arrival?
I just came.
You just arrived here?
Yes.
So always you come here and join them here?
No. I don't used to come here. It's just today just that I came.
Is this your first time?
Yes.
This is your first time?
Yes, my first time.
So how did you know he was here before you came here?
This is his house. That is why I came.
I'm addicted to Indian hemp, so I use it all the time. I started using it in 1978, and since then, I don't feel myself if I don't smoke it. Through that, I started selling it. As for the gun, I'm in the process of buying it to protect myself because we have been attacked severally.
The IGP's team activities also included a courtesy call on the overlord of the Agbon Kingdom, Yana Abukari II. Who expressed support for the efforts they have put in reducing crime in the area. They later joined a Quranic recital at the Dakwema Palace. Speaking at the Deba, DSP Bawa Abdul Jalil appealed to the people to support the police efforts, saying the fight against crime requires collective action.
Well, you're still watching JoyNews Prime. We're back with showbiz and Carlos. Just before I leave you with Becky, I just want to commend the staff at DVLA. They say they've been watching us and they want us to give them shout outs on air. So thank you so much for your time and your company. I'm leaving you.